Today's daily recap for BTG Beyond the Gates is for Tuesday, November the 9th, 2025. Well, Anita was getting more tests done at the hospital or, health-wise. I already knew. I said this a couple weeks ago. When she first started going, she had told Nicole or something that, with everything going on this year, she had neglected, some of the routine stuff she's supposed to do, but she's getting on track now, right? And I thought, okay, we're gonna have a health thing. We haven't had a cancer story yet on BTG because it's so new, right? Something, and I'm probably feeling it's that with Anita, but we shall see. Um, so she runs into Bill, who was doing his routine after stroke checkup with Madison. And they were talking, same old, Bill, you had it good. We embraced you in this I ain't gonna rehearse that again, right? But she was just saying, Danny's happy. But one thing she noticed, she says, I do notice the way you've been looking at my daughter when you're in the room with her. She says, ooh, that ship has sailed. And he goes, I don't look at Danny in particular way. She goes, oh, yeah. Yeah, you do. And she goes, deep down, Bill, you know you messed up big time. She says, but the thing is, it was over the years what you put my daughter through. She says, but now you're on your new path. My Danny is on her new path, and she's happier than I've ever seen her in years. I am. And he goes, yeah, but you couldn't be too happy with her union with Andre Richardson, a man almost half her age. He goes, you know what? Sure, we had reservations at first. She says, but nope. Danny is thriving and they are happy. That's all that matters. And so she was saying, she said, Vernon took you under his wing and tried to teach you, was kind of like a father figure, or even Bill may have said Vernon was like a father figure to me, you know. Um, and I did learn a lot from him. And one thing Anita did, she goes, and Danny and I are learning to coexist as good parents. But one thing Anita, she didn't address and she didn't tear down was him loving his girls. He does love her, but realized Bill was not as present with them, right? And she goes, well, it's too bad Vernon could have taught you how to be a good husband, right? How to be a good husband. And so she goes, there is not a night or a day that I gotta wonder where my husband was laying his head at night. And then it switches over to Vernon on a phone call, another weird phone call saying, listen, you cutting it. It's cutting it close. Um, yeah, Anita left early this morning, but she'll be back soon enough. All the staff are gone. And he says, look, okay, we can do it here in the living room, right? And then he says, I've been waiting for this anxiously. And I thought, okay, they're misleading us somehow. Because for one thing, Bill would not bring Sharon to the house. He wouldn't, right? And I thought, why are they doing that? Constantly doing that where Vernon is concerned and where we, the viewers, it's like wanting us to get these thoughts that dirty dog Vernon, Anita's going to get egg on her face. No, because I already know that's not what's happening. And ultimately, Beyond the Gates is not about every black male is a cheater. They're not about that. Now, we've already had two, both their daughters' husbands. Okay. And, And look, granddaughter's boyfriend, but Chelsea, I mean Kat and Tomas, she was ghosting him, and they weren't even that close. They weren't in a committed relationship at all. But I'm like, okay, you know what? That's enough. That's enough of that for now. Not even for now. For the Vernon character, that's enough of that. So, needless to say, Anita heads home. Now, Danny had popped in inviting him and her to the club, and he goes, your mom's not even home. She's on an appointment. So, we're going to have to miss you today, but we'll meet up with you another time. So, she talks to her father for a few minutes and she leaves and goes to the club with Andre, and she's just bubbly talking to him. But anyway, Anita walks, she comes in the house, Vernon, I'm home. So, she puts her stuff down, walks into the living room area, and she looks and she goes, Vernon, what's this? Or something, but so they got that deceiving look on their face, like, I know you not doing her on my couch. Right? It was one of those deceiving, what? Then when they come back after commercial, even though I watch it on Paramount streaming, they're on the commercials. Her look is they show the living room. It's all decked out. He's got the table, wine glass, champagne glasses there, whatever they're drinking. And she goes, what did you do? Or she may have even said, Vernon, what are you doing? Something like that to deceive us, right? And he goes, all for you, my love. And she goes, and what is that smell? She's walking over to the table. She says, is this gumbo? And he goes, yes, straight from, there's this New Orleans restaurant they love. It's not important for me to remember the name. He says, I had it flown first class here today in dry ice. It was made today, had it flown here on first class on private plane, right? Or first class on a plane. Well, who cares? Direct, right? So it could be fresh for you. All he had to do was heat it up, right? And she's like, why did you do this? She goes, what did I do to deserve this? And he said, we're getting ready to go into a new year. We're getting ready to go into the last major holiday of this year. We're not going to have a lot of private time together. He said, so I wanted to just celebrate us with you right now so we could carry this feeling or this spirit going into 2026, right? He said, we've had a lot happen this year, but it's time to bring in the new year. And oh, she was so excited and blah, blah, blah. So they finish up and he's going to clear the table because he let all the staff go. So he's taking the gumbo bowls into the kitchen and her phone rings and it's her doctor. And she goes, yes, Dr. Han, or whatever the doctor's name is. I just threw one out there. Uh, wait, what? You want more tests run? And she's like, uh-huh. And I said, here we go. I knew it. 2026 crisis is going to be Anita's health and her hanging in the balance. You're probably almost going to die next year, right? Going to have a fight, but you know what? I'm all good. She can fight because we already know they're not killing her, you know. But it'll be a very emotional ride. It really is. So now we have Madison. She comes and she gives Bill, takes him into the uh, examining room. She gives him his test results and she goes, you actually, she almost threw him because he goes, why are you looking at them like you really trying to find something? And she almost tricked him, but she goes, no, you're perfectly healthy. Everything is checking out. Everything. You're looking good. And how have you been feeling? You know, have you been following a healthy diet? And he goes, "Mm." She goes, well, you need to, right? And he goes, okay. And he goes, so how was your Thanksgiving with my daughter? And she goes, Mr. Hamilton, right now you're my patient. I don't mix my private life with my professional life. I'm doing an examination of you. So she goes, oh, okay. So he looks in her, she looks in his eyes, and she finishes up the exam in like a minute and a half. She goes, okay, now that that's over, she goes in and goes hard on how Chelsea crossed the line. My mother does this, that, and the other. As soon as Chelsea walked in the door, oh, she was just going on, but not evil bashing, but just letting that frustration come out. And Bill is sitting up on the table, kind of thinking, oh my God, she doesn't know that was rhetorical. She doesn't know oh my God, when people say, how was your Thanksgiving? That you're not particularly close to, you're supposed to say, oh, it was good. It was good. Could have been better, but it was good. That's what you want to hear. You don't want to hear the truth unless you're a personal friend of mine. Period. Period. So he goes, I'm sure she just was trying to, smooth things over and trying to just be nice. First time meeting you, but Max is like, no, but blah blah blah. So anyway, Bill got up out of there. They didn't show it, but Chelsea's supposed to have some kind of cold, remember? And Kat was there, and Chelsea got up, and Kat says, well, good morning, or should I say good afternoon? How you feeling, cousin? So uh Chelsea was kind of sneezing or whatever. And then she's venting on, Madison's really upset. But I talked to Gran, and Gran really made me see I did overstep. I did that. It wasn't my place, and I don't know the whole story, and I don't know Madison's the whole life experience she had behind that, right? And so she goes, and Madison is not even speaking to me, and blah, blah, blah. I can't even tell her I'm sorry. And Chelsea looked. She goes, well, here's your chance. I mean, Kat looked because she could see their door that everybody just walks in. Their door is never closed. That little deal is never closed. And Madison walked in, and Chelsea turned around. Madison, she goes, I thought you were working. She goes, I was. But I just saw my last patient for the day. Happened to be your father. She says, and he asked about Thanksgiving, and I ended up going on and on and on about what went wrong Thanksgiving. She says, and then I realized I'm talking to the wrong person. I need to be talking to you. And so Kat says, and that's my cue to let you two have some space. And Chelsea said, no, Kat, you don't have to leave. This is our workspace. She says, Madison, would you like to go for a walk? And Madison looked at her. She goes, are you feeling up to it? And Chelsea's like, I could use some fresh air. And a walk in the sun with you and us talking, that's what I need. So they're going to talk, and they'll probably, you know, clear the air. Now, switch back to Bill's office. Haley's drugged his tea, gave it extra kick. She said, maybe I'll speed this along. Well, not that first cup. This cup, she drop, and she's backing into Bill's office. Hey, baby, here's your. She turned around, and Caroline is standing at the desk doing some paperwork. And she goes, T, well, where's my husband? And Caroline says, well, if you would have arrived to work on time, you would know where Bill is. But then again, you don't ever really arrive to work on time anymore. And Haley's like, and where's that coming from? She goes, just stress over whatever case, some deadline. She says, but you're not answering my question. Where's my husband? He's at Memorial. Did something happen to Bill? And nobody called Caroline looked at her. She goes, Haley, it's a follow-up from the stroke, a routine follow-up. But still, I should know. And Caroline's like, yeah, you should. I'm surprised Bill didn't let you know, right? And so Caroline looks, she goes, I want to apologize for my outburst at you earlier. It's just I got a lot on my plate, right? She says, so I'm a little stressed. She goes, as a matter of fact, you know what, this tea you were bringing to him, that probably will help settle me down. So Caroline picks up the tea cup and Haley looks at her and then she reaches over and takes it out of her hand. She goes, you want some tea, Caroline? The office break room has plenty of it in there. I'm going to drink this now that my husband is not here. And Caroline says, okay, fine. Right? Caroline calls Randy frantic. Oh, she need to meet him now. Randy is talking to Joey and he picks up the phone and he goes, yeah, Cookie. Uh-huh. Yeah. What's wrong? Oh, okay. All right. I'll be there. She says, listen, my lady friend Cookie, she needs me. I'll be back, soon, boss. Joey looks at him, mm-hmm. And as Randy's walking out the door, he says, say hello to Mrs. Hamilton for me. And Randy just looks back at Joey. And Joey just looks at him and Randy leaves. So he meets her at that little place. It always looks like it's a little uh smoothie kind of drinkish place. They never show the place, but they show the stand-up tables or with high bar stool tables that people are always talking at. And she's telling him that Bill's at Memorial getting his physical or his after stroke checkup, and they're running labs, and they better not find this in his bloodstream. He says, Haley, my guy is good. Your orders were tasteless, non-detectable, won't even show up in an autopsy. That's what he gave us. It's not going to show up on Bill's reports. It's not. So after winding her down, I fast forwarded that, right? Bill comes back. Now she knows he's on his way back, I guess, because she's bringing him now a fresh cup of this tea. So she's dropping it in and she goes, you know what? Maybe I need to speed this up. So she puts like a double dose. Now, mind you, this is a different batch from the first batch. It's stronger. She decides to double that in his teacup. So he comes in and she's saying, Bill, how come you didn't tell me you had a doctor's appointment? And he's like, baby, it was just a routine appointment. But I would have gone with you. And he goes, oh, I know you would have, but it's okay. So she goes, how did it go? He goes, clean bill of health. All my labs came back clean. Everything is fine. He goes, but now look, I got to get up to speed on this brief. I've got a lot to do with this case. So she goes, well, here's your cup of tea. And he goes, no, I don't have time, honey. I've had so much tea, I feel water. No, I don't have time. No, didn't say waterlogged. He goes, I don't have time. She goes, you know how you just said your blood work, your checkup, everything is better than to be expected. You're very healthy. She goes, it's because of this. So now it wasn't a request. I wasn't asking you to drink your tea. I'm telling you, you're going to drink this tea because it's working. And he goes, you know what? You're right. He's drinking it, but this cup, he's kind of like, mm. And he takes another sip of the tea and he's kind of like, mm. And I'm thinking, Bill, if you are going to react that way, the first thing out of your mouth should have been, you know what, honey? This tea tastes different than all the others. It was the cup not clean. Something's not right, but I can't finish this, right? Because his face, he was just like, mm. So he finally takes the last gulp. And so she goes, would you like some more? He goes, no, I'm waterlogged. No more of this. So he stands up. He goes, I've got to get, you know, to this briefing. He stands up, but he's now feeling woozy, and he holds the desk. He goes, Haley, Haley, baby, I'm feeling, and bam, Bill hits the ground. And Haley's like, Bill, Bill, oh yeah, now we Bill. You had to double the dose of a new batch. So we're gonna see what happens. Is she gonna revive him, get him to the couch, help because she can't get him to the couch. He's gonna have to walk to the couch. Bill's too big a man, right? Even Tomas can't get Bill to the couch, right? Definitely not Ted. Okay. So anyway, he may say, I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't eat breakfast. Watch. Because she's not gonna rush to get him to the hospital. She knows she doubled that dose. And he's going to say, no, I have a clean bill of health. Maybe I just need to eat. Yeah, we'll see what's going to happen tomorrow. But she went too far with that. Now, one quick note with what Andre and Danny are having lunch, and they're just happy. And so she was saying, okay, let's talk about, how great Renterfest was. He goes, oh, it was great, and blah, blah, blah. She goes, and how was it seeing Ashley? And he says, well, I mean, she goes, look, this is not no dig or nothing. I want the honest truth. And he says, well, I could see she was sad. He says, Ashley thought she had her whole life figured out, and then it got turned upside down. So I felt bad for her not being happy, but I'm happy, with us, with our marriage, you know. And so Danny says, good. She says, and just to let you know, you're not the shoulder for Ashley to cry on. And I said, go ahead, Danny. She said, because you my man, honey. And she's, they're kissy facing at the table, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, yeah, definitely. See, before when you guys were friends with benefits or hadn't labeled it, you can want Ashley too, and just let me know if you want to be with her. Now, no, 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 we married. We're committed to each other. We don't have an open marriage, right? And I know the whole shoulder to cry on trick. No. So now we have Vanessa. She been drinking. She goes to Joey, pissed off, and tells Joey he didn't show up. And he goes, I told you I wasn't going to show up. But Ted and Eva got you home fine. I hear Ted and Eva got you home safely. I'm surprised she didn't say how, but Ted texted him, told him that. And so she goes, yeah, I wouldn't have had to be by myself had you come. And he says, Vanessa, it'll be problems us going public. For one, it'll be problems for your kids. So soon after their father died, he goes, you feel everything is safe. Your Donnell's back at school, but Christmas is coming. Your kids are going to come see you. Well, actually, they're going to go skiing with friends. So they're not coming home for Christmas. He goes, they're going to come home at some point. And Vanessa said, I don't care. I'm allowed to be happy. I'm allowed to have a life. And for so long, I have been to functions and attended events with a husband that I hardly talked to, that I hadn't slept with in months, that I was having to rent escorts to get affection, to just, express myself the way I loved expressing myself. So yeah, you know what? It's my time now. And he was just telling her it could jeopardize your reputation. He said, Vanessa, I've got a notorious reputation in this town. And good with it, right? He says, I pretty much built it. He said, but you're untarnished. Your reputation is just reputable. You don't want to lose. You can't tell me what I don't want to lose and what she's just so hard-headed, right? And he said, listen, just not now. Now is not the right time. And so he had turned, he had his drink in his hand. He had turned and he's facing away from her. She's more at his little bar. And she goes, well, you know what? Now's not the time for you. Then our personal relationship, it's not the time for it, for me. So it's over. And Joey was like, okay. He didn't even turn and looked at her. He still, like, he goes, okay. And she looked and she was kind of in shock. She thought that was stomping her feet was going to get him to say, Vanessa, Vanessa. Shh. So she walked over, picked up her purse from the table that he was standing next to, snatched it up and walked out. And he's standing there thinking, oh my goodness, this woman, right? So she goes to the club, just powering back martinis. Boom, boom, getting drunk. And Anastasia comes up. Vanessa, it looks like you need some of the escorts from the service you've been peddling around here to women. Because you looking bad, girl. So she goes, you, Anastasia, you need to stay out of it. She goes, let's not talk about escorts because don't forget, I know, and we all know your activities with escorts, Anastasia, right? And so she goes, you're embarrassing yourself. So Nicole, I mean, Danny and Andre at the little reserved pre-table, Vanessa stumbles over to the table and sits down. Danny was getting ready to leave. She was going to go check on Chelsea, see how Chelsea's doing. And Andre was going to pay the check and go his way. She sits down, plops in the chair, and almost, knocks a little drink over in her hand. And Danny goes, Vanessa? And she's just slouching. She's saying whatever. She goes, okay, Vanessa, something's wrong. Something happened. She goes, you could talk. You could say it in front of him. I tell him anything, everything anyway. Right? So she goes, it's Joey. He doesn't want our relationship to go public. He says it's too soon. And Danny is thinking, like, yeah, it is, right? Your husband just died a month and a half ago. And so she goes, and I gave him an ultimatum. And I told him that then it's over. And he didn't even try to stop me. And oh, she just trying to drink some more. Anastasia comes over and says, listen, Vanessa, the club has rules about talking loud in it. And you're talking loud. You're embarrassing yourself, Vanessa. And Danny is looking at Anastasia, and I'm thinking, all right, Danny, let's see if you're going to shut her down, right? But see, and Vanessa was turned looking at Anastasia. But the way she's turned, she could see Joey walked in. And she says, Joey. And it looked like, boy, because he was already in a suit, but he put on this nice leather jacket. I was looking dapper, dapper. And I was like, okay, Joey. He came riding in that country club, as he's walking to Vanessa, he's eyeballing Anastasia as he walks by. And Anastasia's standing up like, oh my God, because he's looking at her like, You giving my woman some grief. Because he had to get on Anastasia and her, no, that was two other people. It wasn't Anastasia that time. It was two other women. And Anastasia, she just standing there and she walked by and she goes, Joey, what are you doing here? And he reached down and pulled her up from the table. Their drunken self had to hold her up. He says, causing a scene. And they start kissing and making out right in the middle of the country club dining room. And Danny and Andre are sitting there just looking at the two like, oh my God, right? Everybody in that whole dining room was looking. And I thought, okay, well, he gave her her wish. He was kind of like Red Butler to Scarlet. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Oops. I said, damn. Well, look, that was a classic. Because Daily Recap Lady don't curse on the videos. Off the videos, I say all kind of things. But anyway, that just reminded me of the way he stood as he walked in there. I said, oh, look at Red Butler. Oh, that was kind of cute, even though he is right. Vanessa's going to be a downfall. She really, really is. But that's it, everybody. Let me see. I think that is it. That's all I'm going to talk about. I will be back tomorrow with another daily recap of BTG Beyond the Gates.